Shawty really bad. Words of a faint, something like a bad. Well, I want your love, call me when you can. Girl, going up, going up.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be going over an open Great League tournament that we did today. Unfortunately, there were only 7 players in this tournament, so it was not ranked. But we still decided to go through with it because we were already there, and just like PvPing, so let's go ahead and get into it. So I brought Swampert, Umbreon, Wigglytuff, Defense Deoxys, Skarmory, and Venusaur. Most notable, we left off Azumarill. As we were playing, I think I kind of wanted Azumarill, but I felt like Swampert's pretty good against a lot of the same things. Plus, it just packs a punch and is great at taking shields because of the potency of Hydro Cannon. Like you see right here, it even took a shield off me here against Defense Deoxys. So let's get into this match. So we started off Swampert versus Bastiodon, and then we swapped in Defense Deoxys when they swapped in Swampert. Didn't know how this match went, but I thought, you know, Defense Deoxys has a pretty big bulk, so he's going to be able to probably take a lot of these hits. Hopefully we won't lose too much in the process. And we do end up taking out Swampert, and he brings in Tropius, so all we're trying to do with Tropius is, well, first we go for the Shield Bait with the Psycho Cut, and then we're hoping to get a Rock Slide off against him, which we do not get. We swap. Defense Deoxys gets taken out, and we bring in Skarmory. He swaps back into Bastiodon, and then we swap back into Swampert. And this is just going to be a farmable match. Stone Edge and Flamethrower aren't going to do very much against me, and I just want to farm up as much as I can against this before going into this Tropius matchup. So we throw out the Muddy Water there just to finish off the Bastiodon. And then we throw out a last-ditch Hydro Cannon right before this. Oh, we actually get to a second Hydro Cannon here, yeah. So the energy gain on Swampert is just so amazing. You can make it to that Hydro Cannon Community Day move so fast, and it hits so hard, even against the resisted. Even though it's resisted from Tropius, it's still getting hit for about 20-25% of its HP, so that's really good. And then we have Skarmory in the back, who's just going to be able to farm down this Tropius. We have a shield left, and we decide to use it, but just because we had it. So second game, we think he's going to start with Swampert against us, because we expect that he thinks we're going to bring in Skarmory. But it ends up being Venusaur versus Umbreon. This is a pretty even matchup. I think it favors Venusaur just from the gameplay that I've seen, just because you can get to those Frenzy Plants faster than Umbreon can get to the foul plays. I'm not sure if this Umbreon has Last Resort, and I'm not sure exactly how Last Resort changes that matchup versus Venusaur. I think it's not used because Foul Play is a faster move to get to, I believe. And so he shields one of ours, so we decide we're going to shield one of his, and we know we can get to the Frenzy Plant before he can get to the next Foul Play, but he decides to shield again. A little bit of lag there. I asked him if it affected him. He said he's okay with continuing, so we just continued. And he brings in Tropius, and we have Skarmory there in the back. Yeah, after he shielded, we decided to pull out the Venusaur so that he wouldn't get hit by the foul play, and then Skarmory ate up that foul play, or is going to eat up that extra energy that he had right here with that foul play. But we were able to take Tropius out in the meantime. You know, Skarmory versus Tropius, you can just farm it down. If you don't want to take too much damage because you don't know what else is in the back and you think Skarmory might be good, you can go for a Sky Attack, maybe decide not to hit all the bubbles so that you can do a little bit more farming before entering that next matchup. And his last Pokemon was Sableye. In this match we brought Wigglytuff, so Wigglytuff's just going to absolutely destroy Sableye. Charm's doing so much damage versus the Ghost since it's super effective, and Charm is just, I believe, the second highest damage move, fast move in the game. So in this matchup, we started bad. We had Defense Deoxys versus Sableye, really good matchup for the Sableye. We do a little bit of farm, just 2 or 3 hits, and then we swap out into Wigglytuff. hoping we could get 2 to 3 hits off on Sableye before he switches, but he actually switched really well. into Bastiodon. So we lose our Wigglytuff right there. We were able to get a shield. I don't know. He really didn't need a shield there, but it is what it is. It happened. So in this Bastiodon matchup, you notice we don't hit very many of the bubbles because we're just trying to farm as much as we can before we go into this next matchup. And the next matchup is against Tropius here. So we bring in our Defense Deoxys since our switch timer is back up. We're pretty much even with his switch timer at this point. I think he's a little bit ahead of us, maybe 4 seconds. And we're just going to go for the rock throws every time. We have 2 shields, or we had 2 shields going into this match, so we're going to be able to get to those charge moves at will. And we do a little bit of farming here because the air slashes don't do too much damage, and we just get a rock throw off before he gets off another leaf blade or aerial ace. Because we know we're coming into the Sableye matchup and we hoped to have enough energy to do something there, but we do not. He gets a Shadow Sneak off and it absolutely one-shots us pretty much 40% of our HP right there. But we do have Swampert with extra energy in the back, and he's able to get that Hydro Cannon off against Sableye. And we're going up against this Bastiodon. I went for the Muddy Water there, big mistake. Really didn't do as much damage as I thought it would, and I guess I was getting a little scared, but literally one more Mud Shot will get you to the Hydro Cannon. We should have just waited for that one Mud Shot there. So that was all 3 games there. Round 2 here is against Rosborn. And if you notice, all of our ranks have been reset. Everyone is a trainer at this point, unless you've already played a few and then maybe your rival. But no one's a challenger yet. So he starts off Azumarill and we start off Swampert. It's not a good matchup for us. We do decide to farm a little bit before going into this match. And then we swap out into Venusaur. He actually stayed a little too long with Azumarill, and it did cost him a shield. And then we have enough energy against this Charizard that we're going to throw off a Sludge Bomb, and we do take another shield there. And we thought he was going to do a Blast Burn there, so we shielded. He baited us, and then he baited us again because I really didn't know how much energy he had. I think he was really close to having that Blast Burn, even with the 2 Dragon Claws. So he got us there, but we had gotten him before, so luckily we're a little even at this point. He does bring in the Venusaur. We swap into Skarmory, and then he just swaps right back into Azumarill, and it's a Hydro Pump Azumarill, so he did a ton of damage with that Hydro Pump to our Skarmory. You know, he stayed in that match for a long time and used that shield earlier, but that did give him so much of an energy advantage on his Azumarill that when he brings him back in, he's going to be able to get off this second Hydro Pump. And then we have Swampert here. We try to do a little bit of farming here. We don't want to take him out because we know we're going to take on that Venusaur. And Hydro Cannon is a really good move, does a lot of damage, but Venusaur has a lot of bulk too, and it is resisted. So he gets to this Frenzy Plant here and takes us out for game 1. So in game 2, we decide to start with Defense Deoxys. We're really only scared of Azumarill and Altaria for the start. And this is a good matchup for us because we have Rock Slide. He sees that. But we decide we're going to go for the Psycho Boost here since it's super effective against the Poison typing of Venusaur. He does shield, so then we throw in our Skarmory and we're just going to farm down this Venusaur, I believe, all the way down for to have 100 energy in the next matchup. So we take out Venusaur, and he might bring in the Charizard since it's a Fire type, which is going to be good against the Steel typing. But these Sky attacks are going to do a lot to Charizard. It looks like he did about 55-60% of his HP. Just because Charizard's a little bit on the squishier end, doesn't have too much bulk. He does get to a move here, and we think it's going to be Blast Burn. We're not going to use any shield, you know. Skarmory's already done his job and taken out the Grass type on their team, so we kind of don't want to have that Skarmory in the back, and we don't want to shield if he's going to be low HP anyways, because he's just going to get taken out by the Azumarill as it is. Plus, he might have actually gone down to Charizard's Fire Spin attacks. So, yeah. And then he comes in with the Azumarill at the end, but we have the Venusaur in the back. So that's a classic matchup, grass versus water. You're going to take him out. As long as all shields are even and energy's even. If the Azumarill is able to get to 2 Ice Beams, that will take out Venusaur. So don't be at too much of a energy disadvantage. I believe it's 5 bubbles to get to an Ice Beam. But he hasn't shown us Ice Beam at all in these matches either, so we've only seen the Hydro Pump. And we actually assumed he was going to start Altaria, and that means I could have started Wigglytuff, but I wanted to start something that was a little more even against Altaria. Plus, in case he didn't start Altaria, you know, we still have Skarmory, which is pretty good against a lot of his team. Or against Great League in general, you know. So he decides to swap out into Charizard, and we instantly swap out into Defense Deoxys. Interesting matchup. Defense Deoxys is obviously going to win this because of the rock throws. Just make sure you don't get baited by too many Dragon Claws if you can help it. And luckily for us, you know, Defense Deoxys has a lot of bulk, so you can take a lot of hits. You don't have to shield everything, you know. And then he comes in with Venusaur. Venusaur is going to take out our Defense Deoxys. We have the Skarmory in the back, but since I said it at the beginning, we want Skarmory versus that Altaria. So I don't want to have Venusaur versus Altaria. So we have to go into the Venusaur mirror match, and I decide to shield his move while farming up a ton of energy to have a Sludge Bomb ready in the back. We both end up swapping into our Flyers, and I end up taking him out with the Sky Attack. And then we get into the Venusaur matchup, and I just have all that extra energy from the prior time that the 2 Venusaurs met, that I am able to get the Sludge Bomb off against him. And we take that round 2-1. This round is up against JCP, and he's got Tropius, Azumarill, Skarmory, Probopass, Vigoroth, and Defense Deoxys as well. So we decide to go with a really safe starter, Defense Deoxys. I think it only loses to the Azumarill here. And I've never played Defense Deoxys versus Vigoroth, so I was wondering how much those body slams were going to do. And so we decided to let the first one go, and we decided, you know, we could probably take 3 and still live with a sliver of life. So if we need to, we'll shield 1 if he goes for a 3rd. And we actually end up pulling the shield out of him because of the Psycho Boost. We get to it so fast, plus it has that stab damage. And then he comes into Skarmory, takes us out, but we have Swampert in the back, and if you played in Boulder Cup or Mirror Cup with Boulder rules, you'll know Swampert wins this matchup against Skarmory. You just have to go straight Hydro Cannon. You don't really have to bait. You can if you have Muddy Water, but you don't have to. And then he brings in Tropius. Not a great matchup because it is the Air Slash variant. So not a good matchup for our Venusaur, but it's an even worse matchup, I believe, for our Swampert. And plus, with shields down, I just kind of want to get to the Sludge Bomb, which is still going to be doing super effective damage. He's going to take us out here, but I know Swampert still has an attack loaded in the back. So we just want to go for that Hydro Cannon. You notice I did take a few Air Slashes, because Air Slash isn't doing that much. As long as he doesn't get to Leaf Blade, we're not going to be taking that much damage, so I wanted to farm up another Hydro Cannon for the Skarmory up in the back, so that when he swapped him in, we can take him out. So that was game 1. Game 2, we're going to change it up. I believe we're going to bring Venusaur in first. And as you see, I took out Defense Deoxys because I figured he thought we would start Defense Deoxys again. But even if you're running Defense Deoxys, and I believe Defense Deoxys is the best Pokemon in Open Great League, it doesn't mean that even if you have it on your team, you have to come in with him. Sometimes other lines just cover more things, and I thought I really needed Venusaur, Skarmory, and Swampert to take on the whole of his team. And so we swap out into Skarmory versus Skarmory since we just wanted to go into the mirror matchup for some reason. We just didn't want to lose our Swampert at this point because we thought he'd swap into something and then we'd have no way to take the Skarmory out later. And then I think he said he accidentally swapped into Tropius, and once he did that, this match is already pretty much over because he sacrificed a Pokemon for no reason. It happens. It's happened to me a lot. before, and we just have to be more careful about how we're swapping in. We always want to be, everyone's doing all these blind swaps and everything now, but sometimes you just have to wait and see what is happening and take it a little slow. Maybe you're going to take one extra hit, but at least you're going to come in with the right Pokemon. So he ends up having this Azumarill trapping us with our Swampert. So I believe I went for a Muddy Water first, just to see if I could lower his attack damage against us so that we can get more Hydro Cannons off against him. But that Hydro Pump right there, just so much damage. Swampert's not that tanky, so it's going to be taking a ton of neutral damage right there. So we end up bringing in our Venusaur, and it takes out the Azumarill, and we have enough energy to get off a... oh my god, I'm blanking on the name. Frenzy Plant against the Skarmory, and we decide to shield, even though it's a horrific matchup. I believe our Skarmory in the back's really low, and I didn't want to lose it. I knew I wouldn't be able to shield. I would just get taken out by auto attacks. So I just wanted to make it to that second Frenzy Plant, because even though it's not doing very effective damage to the Skarmory, he only had about 15 to 20% HP, and Frenzy Plant still hits like a truck. So I think that was a pretty good play. Could have backfired if he had more energy than I thought he did, but it's the play I went for. So here we have a mirror match Defense Deoxys, and I'm just going to go straight Rock Slides, and I assume that he's going to do the same, but he actually goes for a Psycho Boost right there. Doesn't do too much damage to us since we resist it, and we're just going to keep going Rock Slides. We get the shield out of him there, and we think maybe he's going for a Rock Slide here, and we don't want to get autoed down after a Rock Slide, but he gets us with another Psycho Cut, and there's no way this one can be a Rock Slide because... oh no, it is a Rock Slide. We didn't think he had enough energy to go for a Rock Slide after 2 Psycho Cuts, or 3 Psycho Boosts, rather, not Psycho Cut. So we go even on shields there, and I do get to take him out, and I have enough energy for a Psycho Boost here against the Azumarill. It's not going to do very much, but my guy's already going out. Might as well throw in an attack while I can at the end. And we get Venusaur into the matchup versus his Azumarill. He swaps out into Vigoroth, and then I swap into Swampert. I'm pretty sure Swampert doesn't win this, but I still need to keep my Venusaur in the back preserved to take on the Azumarill later on. So my Venusaur has a charged attack still in the back, and I'm just going to be throwing out Hydro Cannons at will against this Vigoroth because I want to take out its shields, which is what Swampert does best. And I want to do as much damage to the Vigoroth as I can. And like I said, I had an energy stored in the back, so I'm just going to throw that off right away because I need to get to that Azumarill matchup. And I have enough health here that I'm not going to die to an Ice Beam. He ends up throwing out the Hydro Pump, and we get to our Frenzy Plant because Vine Whip just is such a high energy gain that we're able to get to that, like I said, that Frenzy Plant and take out the Azumarill. So we went 3-0 in this tournament. Like I said, it wasn't ranked, so unfortunate there, but I had a good time. I actually did think it was a Sinister Cup tournament that I was going to, and then when I got there, they told me it was going to be Open League, so I kind of just threw this team together like literally on the spot, 1 minute, 2 minutes before the tournament actually started, and I think we actually got a lot of our coverages down. I threw in Wigglytuff because I thought I was going to see a lot more of the that new Pokemon in Gen 5. It starts with a Z. It's like a twin-headed dragon. I don't even want to guess what his name is. I don't know what it is. I definitely don't have one of those, but I know he's pretty decent in PvP from what I hear, and I thought a lot of people would try him out if they had him, but it looks like maybe the people that went didn't have it. I also thought there would be a lot of Sableye, since Sableye counters the Defense Deoxys because of the Psychic typing there. Ghost counters Psychic, and then Fairy counters Ghost. And then if anyone brought like a fighter like Medicham, Charm's going to be doing decent damage against that as well. So yeah, didn't see a lot of that, but I think Wigglytuff's still a good choice. And then I think all the other choices, pretty standard. maybe Swampert maybe Azumarill instead of Swampert, but I kind of liked the fact that Swampert is going to take out so many shields. He's just a cannon, you know. He can get out, even in bad matchups, he's going to get out 2 Hydro Cannons, and you don't know if they're going to shield those or not. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But if they do, you know, you gained a lot for a bad matchup, which is kind of all you can ask for. So we're going to be doing a lot of Sinister Cups, hopefully. We're going to be doing as many as we can, I should say. I already did one, and I actually weighted it, and I did not do very well. But I kind of wanted to do one at the beginning of the season because I don't know how many I can actually get to in person. And with all the remote problems that are happening, I'm not sure how many of my remote leagues are going to be pushed back. Hopefully Niantic says they're working on it, and they'll have remote battles be able to happen again soon. But, you know, with all of that risk, I wanted to make sure I get a weighted cup in, because I know last season during the Rainbow Cup, I kept delaying my weighted cup for Rainbow Cup, and then I ended up never weighing any tournament, and I just didn't want that to happen this season. Hopefully in the next month, those cups, I usually like to do the second week, because then I have a whole week's worth of, or I have that 1 week before where I am able to practice at an actual tournament setting. So we'll try to do that next time. I probably will put the video up for that tournament, but like I said, I really didn't do that well. But, you know, we'll go over my mistakes and see if we can't learn from them. So thanks for watching. Bye.